So you're in Nashville, 1,300 people a day are moving there because it's a pretty cool place, doing a lot of things in technology, and you're one of them. So tell us about Po.et.
Yeah, so Po.et. Po.et's a project we created and launched about 6 months ago to kind of answer some key questions. Who here has heard of Po.et? All right, we got a few Po.et fans in the house.
Po.et. Po.et.
That's right.
That's their website, so now you can cheat.
We're not Ethiopian.
No, but you can cheat and you can go to Po.et and start acting smart all of a sudden as he keeps talking.
So who here is a content creator, a blogger, photographer? All right, who here believes content creators are valuable?
Sometimes.
And who thinks content creators should be paid for their work? All right, these are all things that we can mostly all get behind, and a lot of these are kind of the driving questions why we launched Po.et. So my background's actually in media. I'm the CTO of BTC Inc., and we're a media and information company based in Nashville, and we run a bunch of different publications, some events, podcasts, and we, as a media company, run into all the friction points of dealing with licensing in a digital era. And so we launched Po.et as a way to try to apply blockchain technology, which we're so passionate about and have been covering for the last 4 years, to problems specific to the media industry for content creators and journalists and publishing companies.
Okay, so I want to summarize that and then keep rolling. So we got a 4-year-old company?
So BTC, our media group is, but
right.
Po.et's
so you spun out of BTC
newer on the scene.
So you spun out of BTC-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, so BTC Media, for those of you who don't know, how many of you have read Why Bitcoin, the letter Y Bitcoin? How many of you have seen that? They were the original, they own that, right? And distributed.com, anyone familiar with that? That's the enterprise. So BTC Media is the track sponsor for DigiCity Day. So these guys are one of their portfolio companies. You guys spun out of that. They also own BitcoinMagazine.com and several other assets. So
let's talk Bitcoin.
So your parent, is it? I don't want to say it's your parent company. What's the relationship? Are they the first money in? Did they seed invest? What's the relationship?
Yeah. So as a seed investor and really as the first alpha user of Po.et, where we already had some pain points in our media business that Po.et could solve from day one, and so we kind of built the prototype with a small network of publishers in the crypto space to look at how we could solve pain points around sharing and licensing and metadata for publishers.
Got it. So one of the things, for those of you who don't know, and this is a little departure, but I'm going to bring it back, I promise. Nashville's done some really interesting things in their ecosystem, and over the last, I would say, 7 or 8 years. And one of the things that they've done really interestingly is they have created this public-private, nonprofit, and capital markets partnership where they went and looked at their strengths, like publishing, like music and things. And when those industries were dying, and healthcare, and when those industries were dying, because how many of you don't buy music anymore, right? For $10 a month, you just stream all you want. And so when those industries were dying, they went through this phase, and I'm summarizing, but I know a little bit about the story, and it fascinates me.
I think you know more than I do.
So when those industries are dying, they decided to change, and they were like, well, we need to become relevant. We want to be a city of the future. And they got outside their core. And then they realized, wait a minute, we can't compete. Like, we know publishing, we know music, we know healthcare. Like, that's what we've been. And so for those who don't know, a couple years ago, about 600 people a day moved to Nashville. Now it's somewhere, I don't know what the current stat is, it's somewhere around 1,300 people a day moved to Nashville. And they've created in the last 7 years one of the beacons of how to think about economic development in a new way. This has nothing to do with blockchain, by the way. This was just before blockchain. They were doing this. And so it sounds like, and what's interesting to me about this, and that's why I'm tying it back to you, is you're almost like this output, whether you realize it or not, of this design that they've put in place in Nashville that other people have tried to model, and it's interesting. And so one of those things was they would grade startups, right? So they would look at an industry like publishing or music or content and technology, and they would say, you know, let's find a big brother, big sister company that could be the first customer. Because if we give them capital, that's one thing, but if we give them a customer, that's another. How many of you have read white papers that don't have any customers? Like almost every day. How many of you have read white papers as investors or as speculators, if you're doing it on the retail side, that don't have any code?
Or any product.
That's a problem. So I think I'm saying this because I think it's important that people understand, A, you had an investor and that it wasn't an ICO. B, that investor
Well,
also.
we did have an ICO.
Yeah, no,
That came
but
later.
that,
We'll
but that
get there.
first, yeah, we'll get. You can clean this up later. That's your problem, not mine. Let me tell my story. No, but so you had an investor, but that investor also became your customer, right? So if it didn't work, they learned something, you learned something, and there was this relationship, right? There was this end-to-end value chain connectivity.
Yeah.
And so I think that's an interesting piece. So clean whatever up that I said that wasn't accurate, but I want people to understand where you're at in your stage, because right now, where are you? And so kind of go from there.
Yeah. Oh, I think you summarized it pretty well, and I think I know some people in Nashville economic development that would love to hire you.
I'm not for sale.
But Chris is exactly right in that we started Po.et almost as a proof of concept project to try to solve a problem in an existing business. And as we were able to iterate on that and talk to other publishing companies and try to assess some of that product market fit for day one, and then come out with a product that addressed those needs, and only then did we feel the confidence to raise outside capital and to kind of launch it as its own project into the world. And
so what's your ask? Like, what's some of the asks you have today? What do you want people to know about Po? Like, what's your next thing? What are the 2 or 3 things you're looking for? What's valuable right now?
Yeah, so Po.et did an ICO back in August and has been kind of hard at work on the technical development side of things.
How much did you raise? Can you say?
We raised $10 million.
Okay.
In an ICO.
And that was a public sale.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then and so that was in August. So that 10 million's worth a little bit more now if you didn't spend it all, isn't it?
Thankfully, it is.
So there's a thing called endowment for those of you who haven't been in this world yet, and they're a perfect example of an endowment. We'll leave that for everyone else to do the math on. Was it ERC20, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's a quick cheat. Look at Ethereum in August and look at it today, and realize what $10 million bucks is actually today. Anyway, another conversation, another time.
Yeah.
So now that you have this endowment and you have this capitalization, what are you doing with it? What's the roadmap?
So we've really been on a hiring spree lately. Just last month, we announced the hire of a new CEO to lead Po.et, who came to us from the Washington Post and Rebel Mouse and Time, and is an amazing
and can you say who is that?
Yeah, his name's Jared Dicker. He really wishes he could be here tonight, but unfortunately wasn't able to.
So and you're a founder.
So I'm the CTO at BTC Inc. and was very involved in kind of the creation.
So it wasn't a big.
Of,
so I'm just curious.
Po.et.
I always like asking when someone brings in a CEO. Was that okay for you? Was that exciting? How does it feel?
Jared is a rock star and just killing it on the job and making big waves in media circles with Ad Age and Digiday and Axios and people at large publishers who are just starting to get blockchain technology on their radar and realize that this is something they should care about and that their innovation team should be looking at.
Well, and a couple other people. If you don't know Ad Week and Brand Week, they're going to be here tomorrow and Sunday at BlokHouse. So I'll make sure you get introduced to that. That sounds like they'd be a good fit for you.
Great.
So we want to take questions, or we got 8 minutes? What do you want to do?
Yeah, sure. We'll do a little Q&A.
Who's got some questions?
Our biggest needs right now are really around hiring. So if you know smart developers who want to work on a cool, groundbreaking blockchain project, or people passionate about the media space in particular, please send them my way.
What kind of developers do you have? Or is there a place they can get job recs and info and they can share it? Is there a site?
If you just go to our site, Po.et.
You know what I love about a show? I love a private sales showcase where he's not asking for money. Isn't that awesome? Real technology. Okay, so we're looking for developers. They can go say it one more time. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, the URL is just Po.et, Po.et.
All right.
And we've got some job postings up there.
Who's got some questions for Tyler? Yes.
So how's the economic model work? How do bloggers, for example, get paid? And I mean, do I have to go buy tokens? It seems like from a user experience standpoint, if I have to get Bitcoin, convert it to Po.et coins, then go pay on this blog, adoption seems tough.
Yeah, and one of our key goals with this project was to reduce friction rather than add it. And you see a lot of projects in the space now that are have great intentions but are unintentionally adding friction to the system, especially when you get people who have to transfer through 3 different currencies to actually use your app. So Po.et is free to use for content creators. Really at its base layer, it's about stamping and hashing the metadata and ownership information about an article into a blockchain in a way that other publishers, people who might want to license your photograph or article in the future, can read that immutable data store. And then you can build all sorts of applications and smart contracts on top of that kind of base data layer about monetizing and licensing content.
So, feel free to keep going on. I want to build on his question because it's starting to occur to me. What's my incentive other than curiosity, which obviously curiosity matters, but other than curiosity, why do I go to you versus YouTube where there's a known audience?
So there isn't a choice of one or the other. You can use Po.et no matter where you're doing your distribution. So Po.et's actually really like a B2B tool for journalists and publishers. So we've got a WordPress plugin where you can one-click timestamp everything on your WordPress blog. We've got a Medium plugin. We're working on more integrations. So no matter where your content's appearing on the web, whether that's Instagram or YouTube or where you're publishing, you can still record your original ownership and whatever metadata you
Got
want.
it. So this,
Exactly.
that's okay. So that's a great question because that led us to that, which is a differentiator. So that's cool. Okay, who's got another question?
Yeah. So we designed Po.et from the ground up to be as flexible and adaptable as possible. We don't know what the answers are there, and so what we're building is a platform where anyone can build monetization solutions with different license terms, different payment structures, using smart contracts, leveraging, again, that sort of base layer ownership data that's recorded in Po.et. So that's something that anyone's going to be able to build your own. Po.et will be building reference implementations and specs and some of the first examples of apps. But Po.et is an open source platform, and we want to build a developer community that's also iterating on these problems with us.
Good question. Any other questions? We got 4.5 minutes.
Everyone
wanna
can get
say?
another cocktail.
Yeah, they could, but so you're looking for developers.
We got one more question back
Yeah,
here.
yeah, good.
Since you're one of those ones that are
So look, wait for the camera. So you're one of the ones that's actually doing things was the preface. Okay, go ahead. Ask the question, Blaine.
what have your challenges been?
So,
That's a good question.
yeah, great question.
Reframe it so that we can get it on camera. So the challenges have been.
Question has kind of been biggest challenges with Po.et. I will say one of the biggest ones has just been finding talent. I mentioned developers, but also just people who are conversant about the challenges in media and also see the promise in blockchain technology. I'll say kind of another one of the unique challenges that's new for projects that have done an ICO in a lot of ways is trying to balance kind of the large community build and the short-term perspectives of some investors versus building the core technology, which is a hard technical work that we think is going to take years and years and years. And you've kind of got some competing incentives in those areas when you've got lots of people who just bought your token on Binance who are wondering why it hasn't 10x'd yet.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So how do you? So that's that's an IR problem.
When Moon, yeah.
Yeah, when Lambo, when Moon, when actual code, when work, when middle class. Anyway, so how do you manage that? How do you do the IR, the investor relations on a company that isn't a publicly traded company and that raised money this way?
Yeah, so we've tried to kind of separate that a little bit out. So we've got different teams focused on different things so that our CEO and our product team don't necessarily have to deal with all those short-term pressures. And so we've actually used a couple contractors, a couple community management firms to help grow and keep our community active while freeing up our developers and their brain space to focus on solving the hard technical challenges.
Any tips for other people that are facing similar challenges? Any things that that you've done wrong in that regard, or that you wish you had done faster? as far as managing the community and the expectation in the speculator world?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely something worth investing in. That if you don't stay on top of that stuff, then people ask questions that go unanswered, and then rumors start flying,
and then Reddit
kind of
start
spirals
flying
out of
and-
control. But if you invest in a team to just manage it and have a consistent playbook and answer people's questions honestly and openly, it's much easier.
How much of that 10 million should you allocate for IR, investor relations, community management? 10%, 1%?
Most of the projects we're talking to are allocating kind of between 10 and 15% for long-term marketing and IR.
So cool. So that's significant budget. Mm-hmm. Any other questions for? Yeah.
Do music as well?
So we definitely want to. Po.et is kind of starting out focused on digital media content, so articles specifically, as we're a publishing company and we publish a lot of articles. But on our roadmap, we definitely want to go to photography, to videos, to build a decentralized Shutterstock, and then to music and 3D graphics down the road. Exactly. All digital assets can be treated in a lot of ways if you just are referencing them by a hash.
Dude, thanks for being here. That was
for having us,
awesome.
Chris.
That was a good one. All right. Find Tyler, take him to the back, take him out to a beer. Justin Litchfield, you here? Coin cart?
All
There he
right.
is. All right. Awesome job, guys. Thank you. That was great. Good questions. Next up.